people in the entire Congress that has full-bore knowledge of Afghanistan and what's happening there.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. Let me thank Don Ritter here, and let me thank all of you, if I could. And I will begin by thanking my friend Hassan Nouri. We have been friends for now, 25 years or longer than that. And what I wanted to do was maybe lay out for you some of the thoughts that I have about Afghanistan's development for opportunities for partnerships between American businesses there and opportunities in Afghanistan. And I think the Afghan-American Chamber of Commerce has done some pretty critical work here over the years. There's been a series of meetings that we've had in this town that they've organized and luncheons. And with Don Ritter at the helm, they've made some pretty important strides in expanding the economy in Afghanistan, which in turn has contributed to the goals of achieving stability and prosperity there, which is our goals. Now, as mentioned, I chair the Foreign Affairs Committee. I've got a long history of engagement with Afghanistan, and I've been a member of Congress now for 22 years. So many of these policy issues that you're talking about here, including economic growth or terrorism or narcotics or corruption or governance, as well as the areas of progress in finance, in education, in human rights, these are all issues we've been engaged in. One of the things I've learned is that despite setbacks, Afghanistan holds great promise as an emerging economy. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Afghanistan rests in the middle of the Silk Road, and that's a network of trading posts that has connected East Asia to the Mediterranean since at least 200 BC. And for those of you that picked up Marco Polo's travelogue, the description of the world, he recorded glimpses into that Silk Road as he made that very path through with his father, with his family, to China to trade. Christopher Columbus took a copy of that Marco Polo book on his historic journey in 1492. Everyone has tried to discover the way to the Orient. Well, the way to the Orient is through Afghanistan, through the Silk Road. And trade along that road has increased or decreased over the years as conditions of those countries have changed. And what we want to see is that Afghanistan becomes the thoroughfare. We are now in the moment when those economic conditions are improving in Afghanistan. And that country is working towards joining the World Trade Organization. Afghanistan is attempting to transition from a state-controlled economy to a market economy, an area in which Don Ritter and Hassan Nouri know a lot about. The United States and other international donors have been responsible for a multi-billion-dollar effort to help reconstruct Afghanistan, which is a critical part, frankly, of the Central and South Asian market of 1.8 billion consumers. And to capitalize on this market and to promote cross-border expansion, we are supporting modernization of the Afghan electric grid and related energy development efforts, including the World Bank's Central Asia, South Asia Power Transmission Project. That's 1,200 megawatts. The U.S.-Turkmenistan Intergovernmental Framework Agreement. This agreement would provide Turkmenistan with the necessary assurances to seriously engage an international oil company on the Turkmen, Afghan, Pakistani, and Indian natural gas pipeline project, which is a key project. Other business opportunities are driven by Afghanistan's need to rebuild its infrastructure, which was weakened by years of war and by neglect. Substantial opportunities for U.S. firms have typically been linked to donor and international finance institutions such as the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, Overseas Private Investment Corporation. My legislation to extend the contract for OPIC is over in the Senate right now, and when I get back this afternoon, we've got get that extended by at least a year. Since 1974, OPIC has committed $295 million in support of 39 projects in country in Afghanistan. OPIC supports investment by providing capital and risk mitigation tools, including financing, from large structured finance to small business loans, and of course, political risk insurance. The portfolio includes projects in juice and soda bottling and dairy processing and apparel and housing and energy, and you should know about how to access that. Agriculture also remains a strong market driver. There are significant opportunities in agribusiness, agricultural distribution, infrastructure. Dried fruits, nuts, seeds have overtaken carpets. They now account for half of Afghanistan's total exports. When Afghanistan's agriculture and food processing infrastructure improves, with new cold and dry storage facilities, the export of fresh produce is going to increase. Most of Afghanistan's exports are now flowing to India and to Pakistan. Improving relationships with these countries can translate into new agricultural business opportunities for companies. And despite continued economic growth and foreign assistance, the business climate in Afghanistan, as you and I know, remains a challenge, especially in the areas of property ownership and commercial financing. Consequently, the U.S. Commerce Department advises American businesses to visit Afghanistan and get to know your potential partners. Meet with local chambers of commerce, especially with the American Chamber of Commerce, and the Afghan Investment Support Agency, and the Export Promotion Agency of Afghanistan. Many U.S. firms find it beneficial to partner with a local firm that knows the region and can advise on security and other business issues. Personal relationships are especially important, as you know there. With the legal and regulatory framework still in its nascent stage, businesses are built almost entirely on the strength of these business relationships and personal relationships. This is why the partnership efforts of the Afghan-American Chamber of Commerce here is so crucial. Now, I'd be remiss if I did not address some of the ongoing challenges that Afghanistan faces, as well as the country's recent progress and causes for hope. To begin, the security situation in the country is fragile, but make no mistake, the United States is not abandoning Afghanistan. The Afghan government's decision to sign and approve the bilateral security agreement and the NATO Status of Forces Agreement are welcome developments that will assure continued military cooperation. Afghanistan can also be proud that the Afghan security forces are now taking the lead in 99% of all military operations in the country. A key test will be in figuring out how to expand the influence of the Afghan security forces beyond Kabul to provide substantial security in other areas with high potential for economic development. In the current fiscal environment, it's also a reality that international assistance is set to decline, and future aid will be tied to reform efforts. Afghanistan must be able to reconcile diminishing resources with increasing requirements as the international community draws down its presence. Sustained business development in the private sector can help to offset the loss of some international aid by helping to grow the tax base and increase customs revenue into the government. Similarly, corruption remains the single most challenging impediment to Afghanistan's progress in the areas of economic development and in governance, and this will take time to change. The challenge is in removing corruption as a barrier to market entry so that we can encourage private business development all across Afghanistan. But there is hope and plenty of reason to believe that Afghanistan is on the right track. To start, I have hope in the newly elected administration of President Ghani and CEO Abdullah. While we continue to encourage the Government of National Unity to finalize cabinet appointments, the President seems to understand the critical priorities for Afghanistan and for the international community. He has made clear his intentions to tackle corruption, improve governance, strengthen the financial sector, put the right ministers in place, all of which are necessary to improve the business environment and promote market-friendly economic growth. We are also building on the positive momentum from last week's London conference, where Afghanistan's leaders presented a reform agenda on improving security and stability and self-reliance. The international community has reaffirmed its commitment to Afghanistan's development. The United States alone plans to contribute as much as $5.8 billion in reconstruction assistance to Afghanistan in 2015 and extend comparable levels of aid through 2017. Additionally, we cannot talk about Afghanistan's development without considering the role of Afghan women and girls. Their rights and their contributions must be honored if real changes are to take hold. Simply put, no country can expect robust economic growth when half of its population is prevented from fully participating in a society. The good news is that women in Afghanistan have made remarkable progress in the last decade, over maybe the last 12 years. Afghan women have taken up professions that were previously closed to them and are working as judges and journalists and entrepreneurs. They have also entered into politics where they make up 25% of the Afghan parliament, and recently President Ghani and CEO Abdullah announced that they would appoint 4 women to cabinet positions. Under the Taliban, girls could not attend schools. Listen, I know this better than most because I'm on the board of International Orphan Care, which Hassan Nuri set up some years ago. And when the Taliban were first pushed out, I had an opportunity to go visit a school that we had supported for orphaned girls and boys. And I remember very well this conversation with this young girl because as I went up the steps of the school for these orphans, I could hear various classrooms, but there was one at the top of the steps where the class was being conducted in English, so I could understand. So the boys were on one side, the girls were on the other, and the teacher, he urged me to say a few words, which I did. But then I tried to draw out the students. I asked them what they were going to be. One young man stood up and he said, "I'm going to be an engineer." Another said, "I'm going to be a farmer." Then a young girl stood up. I guess she was maybe 13 years old. And she said, "I'm going to be a physician." And I asked her, "Oh, you are? After you?" I said, "Those are your plans?" She says, "I'm going to go to the University of Kabul, and I'm going to become a doctor to help my people." That always stayed with me because the Taliban's intent was to make certain that she never got an education. And certainly, since half of the doctors had been women in Afghanistan, and since so many of the teachers who could no longer teach had been women. Well, frankly, Hassan, because of your work, she had that opportunity for a future. Because of your engagement, there is an opportunity for a future for those young boys and girls that were in that classroom. Thank you for not giving up hope on Afghanistan. And I have to tell you that girls there account now for 40% of the children, of the 8 million children that are now enrolled in an official school, not a clandestine one where the headmaster had been tortured for being caught teaching these children at one point by the Taliban. Now we have that up and running. And its health outcomes for Afghan women have improved dramatically, and more accessible health facilities and a sharp decline in maternal mortality has resulted. We see some of the impact of these changes. And of course, the threats to the rights and security of Afghan women remain, and conservative traditions present us, I think, another series of obstacles there. But Afghanistan's new government has promised to reduce violence, reduce discrimination against women and girls by strengthening legal institutions and ensuring their access to education and to the workforce. The U.S. has also signaled its commitment to Afghan women through initiatives like Promote and Let Girls Learn, 2 multi-year programs that are going to provide scholarships and business training to Afghanistan's next generation of female entrepreneurs. It is the courage and determination of Afghan women themselves that has and will continue to foster progress. Finally, I want to recognize all of the businesses. And I understand the importance of what you do there. You understand the importance of including women and leveraging their contributions. And I encourage you to continue to offer such opportunities. I know the Afghan-American Chamber of Commerce shares this sentiment, having developed a working group that focuses on Afghan women and the economy. So thank you for helping Afghan families achieve a greater degree of economic independence, and in turn contribute to their country's prosperity and development. Now, if you will excuse me, back on the House floor there is a bill that I have to bring up, and I cannot be tardy, so I'm going to run at this time. But I want to thank Mr. Don Ritter, who used to serve in Congress with me, and I want to also thank my friend Hassan Nouri, and I want to thank each of you in the audience. I appreciate it very much.
Super job. Good job. Thank you so much, Congressman Royce. It's really a pleasure and a honor, and also the future of our relationship, America's relationship with Afghanistan is in the hands of people like Congressman Royce. As chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, he holds in his leadership hands how that committee works on Afghanistan relations, whether it's economic or otherwise. So again, we are very grateful for Congressman Royce's coming today. I wanted to give Hassan Nouri, who is very close to the congressman, a few minutes to just mention a few things, a more personal side of his relationship with Congressman Royce, and to give you an idea of the kind of friend Afghanistan has in the U.S. Congress today. Hassan? And Hassan and I go back to jihad when jihad was a good word and a mujahid was a hero. And Hassan was always laboring and lobbying Congress to help the Afghan resistance. Hassan?
Well, Don, thank you. When you make that statement, I want to mention something based on the statement we just made. Remember those days when there were thousands of nuclear warheads pointing toward the United States of America from the Soviet Union? It was the sacrifices of the Afghan people and the unyielding policies of Ronald Reagan, supported by associates like Congressman Don Ritter, that broke the back of the system of communism and disintegrated the Soviet Union. At that time, he was the chairman of the Afghanistan Task Force in Congress. Since he mentioned that, I had to include that before I would introduce Congressman Royce, and I'm sorry he's not here. But, you know, we in America live in the most prosperous, most powerful nation in the world, and we live with the American dream in America. It is comforting to see the country of my birth and the country of my forefathers is in peace, and the Afghans in Afghanistan are living with a dream. Thanks to America, thanks to Congressman Royce. Congressman Royce and I have been friends since he was a congressman 22 years ago. But it began 20 years ago, exactly 20 years ago, December 1994. I arranged a meeting for Congressman Royce to meet with the former king of Afghanistan, the late king of Afghanistan in Rome, Italy, and I went with him. That's when his support started for Afghanistan. And after the 1994, then in 1996, soon after the Taliban government was established, controlling 75% of Afghanistan, based on my request, Congressman Royce organized the first historical congressional hearing on Afghanistan during the Civil War. In that congressional hearing, the atrocities of the Taliban was revealed. In 1998, because I've got to be short, 1998, Congressman Royce introduced the Radio Free Afghanistan bill to Congress. again, 1998. It did not pass through, but then after the tragedy of September 11, only a few weeks after that, in October 2001, he reintroduced that bill, and Radio Free Afghanistan became functional in March 2002, and today Radio Free Afghanistan, operating from Europe, still functional. Imagine if Congressman Royce's bill passed through Congress in 1998, and the people in the world knew what the Al-Qaeda was doing in Afghanistan. Do you think September 11 would have happened? He's gone, but I would say Congressman Royce is the greatest friend of Afghanistan, has been the greatest friend of Afghanistan, and he is a hero of America. Please give him a hand right now.
Thank you, President. Good. Well done. Is Miguel Valero Canarail here? Okay, we're going to go on right now with Miguel Valero's presentation. A quick introduction. Miguel Valero is the President and CEO of one of the leading railroad engineering, design, and implementation companies in the world, Canarail, out of Montreal, Canada. And he has teamed up with Steve Appleton of Appleton Consulting and also an Afghan partner to build this new railroad, to construct a railroad from Turkmenistan to Tajikistan and linking up with the Hayretan Mazar spur. And everybody knows the importance of rail transportation to a country like Afghanistan with its enormous mineral resources. You need railroads to carry that stuff to different places, among other reasons for rail transportation. So Miguel Valero is here and will give his presentation at this time. Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Okay, so I'm not a professional speaker, so I will do my best. I first of all want to thank you, Dan, for that nice introduction, and thank the ACC for inviting me today. As president of and CEO of Canarail, I'm honored to stand in front of such an impressive audience today. In his inaugural speech last September, Afghanistan's new president, Ashraf Ghani, stressed the importance of the country's economy, the need to free up Afghan business people, and his hope that mineral wealth and Afghanistan's position at the crossroads of Asia be at the center of his mandate. So the subject of my presentation today could not be more appropriate. I will be presenting to you Canarail and the work that we are currently undertaking with respect to the feasibility study of a 400 miles railway in northern Afghanistan. Canarail is a Canadian engineering and consulting firm founded in 1990, based in Montreal. We specialize in railway discipline, delivering solutions primarily for the mining and freight sector worldwide. The gamut of our railway expertise include infrastructure, engineering, rolling stock, railway operation, signaling and telecommunication, as well as institutional development of railways. We provide tested solutions for every stage of the project cycle with the ongoing cooperation of our clients. Canarail is recognized for its strong international presence that has been built over the last 25 years. Many of our projects have been carried out in extreme environment, as I will briefly describe later on. Experience has taught us that a project will be successful only if we can understand the geographic, political, and technical challenges attached to it and adapt to various local specificities of each mandate. We have to date delivered up to 800 projects worldwide, supported by international funding agencies such as Asian Development Bank, African Development Bank, and the World Bank, Our long-term presence in Asia and Africa has been critical to the development of regional transportation systems and as a consequence to the economic development of individual countries. The implementation of an efficient railway network is at the core of the economic development of any country. At times, we work with an already established railway and provide assistance in developing a better infrastructure, improved maintenance procedure, and the procurement of new equipment. At other times, we design and manage the delivery of a new railway system. As railways become more efficient, the economic necessities dictate the development of regional systems and will trigger far more sustainable benefits for the country and the surrounding regions. For example, Canarail has worked in Bangladesh for the past 20 years. Our work started with a feasibility study and continued with the construction of the Jamuna Bridge project, grew into the expansion and development of the Bangladesh railway network, including the institutional restructuring, as well as the development of the railway systems with the neighboring countries. We have also been involved in Cambodia, assisting in the concessioning of the existing railway. This year, Canarail has just completed a feasibility study and preliminary design for a railway project in East Africa. The new line will provide access to international market for landlocked Rwanda and Burundi to a rehabilitated Tanzanian railway network. In these situations, work has been achieved through long-term and repeated mandates in which close collaboration and the trust of the client is essential. Many of our projects include strong training components that ensure a transfer for knowledge and know-how. We believe that in a few years' time, our work in Afghanistan will be another good example of such endeavors. Here's a snapshot of some of our other most recent achievements. As you can see, Canarail knows no boundaries as to where we can provide services. Earlier, we alluded to projects carried out in extreme climatic conditions. For example, for the North-South Railway project in Saudi Arabia, we had to deal with sand and extreme heat issues. On the other hand, the studies and design work completed for a project in the Canadian Arctic Cycle in Baffinland had to find solutions to extremely cold challenges. These conditions cover a temperature range of over 180 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius. Applicable solutions had to be found to accommodate these challenges. Extraordinary events have also tried to stop Canarail from delivering work to its client. For example, we stand tall and we have continued to our 18 years collaboration with clients in Western Africa, such as CBG in Guinea, despite that recent Ebola outbreak. But you're safe. I haven't been in Guinea for more than 21 days. I believe the above example, next slide please. I believe the above example provide the background and the understanding of Canarail's interest in the Afghanistan project. In 2012, the Ministry of Public Works of Afghanistan initiated a tender process under the Asian Development Bank funding for the award of a feasibility study contract. Canarail elected to participate. That decision may have been different without the support of our partner, Appleton Consulting. Their long-standing presence and understanding of the country was a key contribution. They were critical in assessing that the right conditions were in place to be able to deliver or promise and meet the government of Afghanistan's expectation. Let me take this opportunity to again thank them publicly to their tremendous assistance on a daily basis. I would also like to express my deepest respect for the Asian Development Bank's role in supporting the development of so many countries in their financial and technical expertise. Afghanistan has presented opportunities that we have been experiencing in some of the other countries I previously mentioned. We saw the extraordinary potential of being a key contributor to the country's development as it switched from a closed market economy to a more open market economy. Afghanistan has the potential to be a regional hub, and I would like to take this opportunity to mention the AACC leadership and ongoing effort over the last 5 years to promote that idea. This is due to the country's unique position in Central Asia and its critical role under the Central Asia Regional Economic Cooperation, the CAREC, and Economic Cooperation Organization, ECO programs. And as we all know, a reliable transportation infrastructure is a primary asset contributing to a country's well-being. Afghanistan has a vast potential for developing the mining and industrial sector, which may be an engine of self-sustaining economic growth in the near future. According to one of our recent traffic forecast report, the railway corridor being studied has a potential market of 46 million tons freight traffic. The assessment has been made taking into account not only mineral export traffic from Afghanistan, but also transit traffic from China to Iran, Turkey, and countries in Eastern Europe. Currently, many neighboring countries such as China, Turkey, are using standard gauge, and its northern neighbor are using Russian broad gauge, which is the width of the rail. Two international agreements between Afghanistan and its neighbor potentially commits Afghanistan to both Russian broad gauge and standard gauge railway lines in northern Afghanistan. So Canarail had provided an option for the country to honor these agreements, which will enable it to implement either or both of these gauges when needed. To summarize and to quote the newly formed Afghanistan Railway Authority, the country needs a comprehensive railway system to act as a regional transportation hub, to be a synergy between railway and mining sector for economic development, to promote infrastructure development, to promote agriculture, industry, and finally to ensure population connectivity. I would like to take a few minutes to explain Canarail's current role in Afghanistan. The project consists of a feasibility study to construct 400 miles of a new railway line connecting Tajikistan to Turkmenistan through Afghanistan, and railway links to connect oil block in Amu Darya Basin to the main line. The project is called Northern Afghanistan Railway Study, or NARS. As you can see on this map, on the right-hand side, there is already an existing and operational 45 miles line railway between Heratan and Mazar-e-Sharif. Building on the conclusion and recommendation of a previous ADB study, and with the objective of extending their railway network, the government has mandated Canarail to undertake the project. NARS is part of the Afghanistan National Railway Plan with a total length of about 1,800 miles. ANRP is configured as a ring and connects major cities of Afghanistan, Mazar in north, Kabul east, Kandahar south, and Herat west, as can be seen in the map on the left-hand side. Our feasibility study covers the key component necessary to prove the project's viability, whether technical, financial, social, or environmental. The scope includes site survey, geological and geotechnical investigations and tests, railway alignment and preliminary design, along the economic and financial analysis related to various options. Environmental and social impact assessment also have to be conducted. Needless to say, this is far from being a desktop job from our Montreal office, and the presence of our experts on the ground with our partners and local team is essential. I would like to stress that our team is composed of both international and local experts. As in many international and developing country projects, this is a critical aspect to ensure its success. Local experts work along with the international ones, thus giving them the opportunity to learn and later on transfer this knowledge to other members of their team. This requirement also ensures that the work continues when security concerns might limit the participation of our international expert. Even the international team has adapted well to the local culture and have set up an excellent report with various ministries, local agencies, non-governmental organizations, other agencies, and other stakeholders. So now, I would not be here in front of you today if this project had no challenges. Carrying a project in Afghanistan required new protocols. Recent study of security concerns confirmed that specific measures had to be taken. So when it comes to security of our personnel, nothing can be left to improvisation. As a consequence, and again with the support of our local partner, we have hired a number of resources that had experience in working in difficult and challenging environments. At the end of the day, nothing can be left improvised, and there is no gain in trying to save some expenses regarding this matter. The return on that investment has no price. Our team has been following a project security plan, and it has been successful with no security incidents since their mobilization in February 2014. There has been permanent presence of our project manager and security coordinators to tackle all security-related issues. The team is supported by the APPF, the Afghanistan Public Protection Force, during field visits to those locations where insurgents are reported. Also, it is critical to keep the team focused on its primary mission. Finding staff that was willing to undertake the risk inherent to this project was a serious and challenging task. Assigning the right project manager is one of the most critical aspects leading to the success of the project. Besides being almost fearless, he had to have the technical knowledge as well as the personality to coordinate the work of the international and local experts. A difficult task considering the combination of team members from different countries, experience, as well as locations. He is the one that is going to inject enthusiasm and set up the dynamic of the work and coordinate the different pieces of the puzzle. But last but not least, he is our main interface with the client. Projects like this one also require the flexibility from the company that is willing to engage in such venture. At Canarail, we have set up specific decision-making processes to ensure that we can adjust and make calls more quickly and efficiently and address any issues that the team faces on a daily basis. And back to our headquarters in Montreal, everyone is aware that such mandate requires specific support. So, the success of the NARS project depends on the establishment of a trusted working relationship with the client, the Ministry of Public Works, and other ministries. Project timelines and schedule depend on timely decision by the client. As well explained, a well-explained methodology at the proposal stage sets the right tone for successful project execution. If trust is built from the beginning, then the client support will be more forthcoming. While the work is in progress, regular and frequent exchanges not only strengthen the relation, but also optimize the management of the project. Experience drawn from previous projects allows us to anticipate and react appropriately to the unexpected. Last but not least, the choice of the local partner is critical. Entering a venture like this one is a decision that was heavily made on the trust we placed in Steve Appleton and his team at ACI. For every concern that we had expressed to him early on, ACI had a clear, honest, and especially reassuring answer. So, our project, which started in early 2014, is still ongoing. We have already learned few lessons which I am happy to share with you. First of all, be prepared for the unexpected. To answer to that, be flexible and prepare and anticipate plan B and C and so on. Secondly, like in any other business, a good relationship with the client sets the path for success. Make sure that you identify the means to create this positive working environment as early as possible. Third, this is a people's job. We are not selling product. We are providing expertise, know-how, and experts. My point is our team members are everything, and we trust and rely on them. Hence, the selection of the best team is most important. And it is critical that the team, both international and local, understand that they have support from the head office. I personally visited Kabul at the very early stage of the project, and that was critical to starting the project off in a positive direction. We didn't go to Afghanistan just because of profit. We chose a project that our team and company will be proud of. So, in conclusion, The extension of the existing Afghan railway in both east and west direction will foster cross-border and regional trade, increase rail usage, and ensure the viability of the initial railway investment. What we are accomplishing with the MPW and ADB is about building the future of Afghanistan and its connectivity to its neighboring countries, and we are proud of it. Afghanistan, like many of the previous speakers said, has a huge potential and can have a bright future. This is in the hands of the Afghanis themselves. But we can help, and we will. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You know, what Miguel talks about is so in line with the thinking about Afghanistan making a regional play with its economy. That, okay, yeah, it's landlocked, but it is in the middle of everything. And that connectivity, starting with a small rail link from Hayraton to Mazar, now spreading west and east to Turkmenistan and Tajikistan, respectively. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the beginning. I mean, if we envision a future of Afghanistan as mineral rich, as transporting freight across the region, the Silk Road, the regional play, CASA 1000, regional transmission of energy, railroads are a critical part of that scenario. So we thank Miguel Valero and Canarail for their interest in Afghanistan, and Appleton Consulting and the Asian Development Bank, which is financing the feasibility study. And hopefully, if with the new unity government and with some movement towards peace, this thing will actually happen, and in the not too distant future. So again, thank you.
Don, thanks very much. This is what we've hoped for out of AACC's involvement and this matchmaking conference, and so I can't let this opportunity pass. Is Appleton in the hall here? No. Is he in the room?
His staff is here.
Okay.
He was.
We want to be sure that this project will provide, as the gentleman said, many opportunities for local partners, subcontracting and so forth, in a civil society, business-like way. So be sure that if you have anything of value you think would interest this project, be sure you talk to them before you leave.
Yes. And thank you, Bill. That's a good segue for the next message, which is we have our panelists for the day. Many of them, most of them, are sticking around for the afternoon session of the one-on-one networking. So if you have an interest in any of the panelist activities, if they're not all here, a lot of them will be. And Ed Corcoran, a longtime AACC member and coordinator of the one-on-ones, is ready to take your interest down.